Welcome everyone. Sorry I'm running just a couple of minutes late this afternoon getting this thing started. Today's Facebook Live from ID Life Healthy Simplified is going to be the ABCs of workout supplements. You know, this presentation was fun to put together. It is something that I enjoy, taking people's belief systems and talking about why people are failing in their workout plans, and more importantly, getting discouraged and explaining to them why that's happening. And the only reason why I enjoy doing it is because when people actually understand how the body works, how the body's systems operate, and they understand that the reason why they continuously fail to get the results that they're looking for isn't necessarily their fault, but based upon some simple things that if they changed, they could have a different outcome. It basically inspires people to continue on the path to health and wellness, and that's kind of what we're all about here at ID Life. So let's kind of jump on in. You know, I love this quote because it's basically, you don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to be great. A lot of people, especially by this time of the year, we're roughly about 6 weeks into 2017, have already given up on their New Year's resolution. And over half of those New Year's resolutions were related to health and wellness, really trying to get back into the gym, trying to feel better about themselves, just getting active again. But unfortunately, so many people are already discouraged and they've just given up. Well, the whole idea about today's presentation is to give everyone those tools, those resources, that information that they need. So maybe we can get started on those things again. But always remember, everything starts with the first step. And even if we've taken a step back and we've already kind of given up on the resolution for 2017, make today the start. All it takes is you to start. That first step, that's all it takes. So let's jump on in. A lot of people decide they want to move forward. And when they decide they want to move forward, they're very excited. They get themselves some new clothes, they get a new water bottle, a new jump rope, whatever the case may be. They are ready to jump in. And then immediately they get sabotaged because this is their belief system. They believe that scale is the measure of whether or not the program that they're on and everything that they're doing is working or not. We need to take that out because unfortunately what ends up happening is we have certain beliefs. We have certain things that we just know to be true because we've heard them, or because Uncle Joe told us that and Uncle Joe is in pretty decent shape, or because we've read something in some article, or better yet, we Googled something and got some information and it became our belief system. Unfortunately, those beliefs sometimes sabotage our results before we ever even begin. So the whole idea about today is to basically take those beliefs out. Let's look at some of them. Eating fat makes you fat. A calorie is a calorie. Diet soda is a better choice. Muscle weighs more than fat. Your weight determines your health. Carbohydrates are evil. All of these things, every single one of them is a myth. See, unfortunately, what we've done is we've taken things out of context and we've made them absolutes. We've taken something that somebody meant by one thing and they all of a sudden decided, well, that means that it means everything. So like in other words, carbohydrates, where carbohydrates came from, the Atkins diet craze. All of a sudden, all carbohydrates were evil. Well, it's just not the case. So let's jump into some of those things real quick. This is one that I want to make sure that we dispel real quick. Muscle weighs more than fat. That's not true. A pound is a pound. The difference is density. In fact, if you see the picture here, if you can imagine, a pound of muscle is roughly the size of a fist. The pound of fat is roughly the size of 2 fists. So a pound is a pound. So get that out of your head. The most important thing we need to know is this right here. A pound of fat is going to burn 2 to 3 calories per day. A pound of muscle is going to burn 7 to 10 calories a day. What does this tell us? What this tells us is we want to make sure that we are putting more muscle on our body, and we want to get rid of the fat on our body. Those are the two main components, and I want to make sure you heard me on that. We want to add muscle, and we want to lose fat. You notice I did not say we want to lose weight, okay, because that's not what you're going to hear. You are more than the scale. The scale is not an indication of where you are from a health standpoint. In fact, this picture kind of tells it all. Both of these gentlemen have a BMI of 33.9. Both of them weigh 250 pounds, and as you can see, both of them are completely different body figures. Weight is only your accountability partner. It's going to tell you what's going on. What you want to think about is fat loss. And we're going to show you how to do that today through, the ABCs of workout supplements. But the main thing is just remember 175 pounds is not 175 pounds. Here you have two different things. That's the difference between a 20% body fat and a 35% body fat. We want to lose fat. We want to get our body fat percentage down. We want to focus on building lean muscle, and we want to make sure we're remaining hydrated. The best indication of how you're doing is how your clothes are fitting. So always remember that. Don't get discouraged by the scale. So that's number one. Number two, let's go after this one. Carbs are evil. This one is hard because there's a difference between a simple carb and a complex carb. We did a Facebook Live not too long ago, and you can still go back and watch it. We did it on nutritional myths, where you can get more information on this. And we also did one on fats, sugars, and salts, where we kind of explained the difference between a simple and a complex carb. But you really need to understand the difference between the two and understand that carbs aren't necessarily evil, because carbs are the fuel. Carbs are the fuel that run our body. They are the things that the body needs to generate the fuel it's necessary to basically fuel our workouts and the things that we want to do. So now that we have the basics down, all right, so we've gotten away from the scale is the measure of whether or not we're working and everything's working, and we understand that not all carbs are created equal, and there is not a food group that's absolutely evil. Again, try to avoid those absolutes when you're talking about anything, but much less your food. But we're ready to get started in 2017. I know it's February 15th, day after Valentine's Day. I hope everyone had a wonderful evening with their loved ones. But let's get started today on us. Okay, so let's jump in. Step one. You are never going to outwork a bad diet. So the step one to the ABCs of workout supplements is real simple. It starts in the kitchen. We have to make sure that step one is right here. So if we're going to start on a program and we're going to worry about, what supplements do I take, or what am I going to do in the gym, or am I going to get a personal trainer, understand that no matter what your goal is, no matter what your aspiration is, the best thing you can do is have a good nutrition plan before you get going. Because without that, you don't have a starting point. And of course, you're bound to fail because, like I said, you're never going to out-train a bad diet. Let's talk about this, because this is the first place a lot of people go. What's interesting is a lot of people, when they get ready to work out for the first time, and in fact, as I'm giving this presentation right now, I'm actually standing on a treadmill, because here in the ID Life corporate office, I actually have a standing desk with a treadmill. What's interesting about that is most people are going to just jump on the treadmill, and they're going to do this for 45 minutes to an hour, but they're not going to have eaten before they got going. See, they're going to just jump on a treadmill and say, okay, here I go. I'm ready to get ready to working out, but you know what? I know the trainer told me I should eat before I go, but I think I'm going to burn more if I just, jump on the treadmill and go. Unfortunately, there's this little thing called the catabolic effect that you're fighting when you do that. See, most people don't understand what the catabolic effect is, and I'm going to super simplify a lot of science today for you so that you can better understand it, but in a simplistic standpoint, in essence, what's happening is the body is going to be into a stress mode. And when the body gets stressed, what it's going to do is say, okay, I am going to preserve fat because a long time ago, we didn't eat as often as we do today because food was not as readily available. In fact, back in the day, there was no such thing as a convenience store, grocery store, or anything else. We actually were hunter-gatherers. We actually had to go find our food. But in those days when we were stressed, the body would preserve fat and look for a fuel source. Well, that fuel source, remember I started out, is a carbohydrate. If the body doesn't have the carbohydrates in the system to basically fuel the workout, what it will do is it will convert protein into carbohydrate to fuel your workout. What does that mean? In other words, when you made that decision, I'm not going to eat before I jump on the treadmill and go for 45 minutes to an hour, in essence, what you've decided you're going to do is you are going to preserve fat and use your muscle to fuel that workout. In other words, it's kind of like fighting the giant sumo wrestler with a small guy. It doesn't matter what the small guy does, he's never going to win that fight. See, in this case, you are literally fighting your body's systems. That fat that you're trying to get rid of on your body is basically saying, I'm bigger than you. I don't care what you've decided to do. You haven't given me the right fuel. I'm stressed out. I'm going to keep what I've got, and I'm going to convert that lean muscle, that stuff that's burning 7 to 10 calories a day per pound, I'm going to use that as the fuel. See, what we have to do is we have to think about what we're going to feed our body, and it can be simple. I mean, a simple apple before a workout can help avoid this, or of course, IdeaLife has a snack bar that you can use. But the whole idea behind it is to feed the body something that it can use as the fuel to help you get through your workout. So that's step one. Will the treadmill work? Absolutely. Hands down, it will work. You jump on a treadmill for 45 minutes to an hour without eating. Are you still going to lose weight? Absolutely, you're going to lose weight. But remember what I said. To get the goal, to achieve the outcome that you're looking for, it's not about losing weight. It's about losing fat and gaining muscle. See, if what we're doing when we jump on that treadmill and we just go without that meal, what ends up happening is we're losing muscle and retaining fat, which is the exact opposite of what we want. So will we lose weight? Absolutely, we'll lose weight, and we'll end up being referred to as what we refer to as a TOFI, or thin on the outside, fat on the inside, which means that visceral fat that's around the body's organs and systems stays. It's still there. And unfortunately, while we look healthier, we will be one of those proverbial middle-aged people that everything looks fine, and then one day walking down the road, the metabolic systems within the body decide that they're going to shut down all of a sudden because of all the visceral fat, and God forbid it's a heart attack or stroke or something else. So the idea behind this, and I want to make sure that we do cover, is that don't think about weight loss. Think about muscle gain and fat loss. Those are the two components. That's the keys. Second step, we're going to work smarter, not harder. That's step two. Okay? We're going to work smarter, not harder. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you jump into the idea that you're going to start using any type of workout supplements, you get introduced to words like explosion and fuel and vapor and rage. I mean, it's amazing to me what the names of some of these products are, but they do a very good job of explaining exactly what you're going to feel like when you take them. Because, see, a lot of these products are designed to do one thing and one thing only, to give you that euphoria, to give you that feeling that something's happening. They're going to increase blood flow, increase heart rate, increase everything possible in the system so that you feel like something's happening. In fact, one of the old adages is a lot of people will pump things with a lot of what we call niacin, which is a B vitamin, and a lot of people have what's called a niacin flush. They get red in the face and in the neck and everything else, and they get hot. Well, it makes you feel like something's happening. Unfortunately, what it could actually be doing is inhibiting your outcome, not increasing it. See, because a lot of these products will basically claim to help you lift more, run faster, and all kinds of other things. You have to understand what it is you're taking, why you're taking it, and more importantly, what's in it that you're taking. Because there's a lot of stuff in here that just isn't getting you what you need. So see, what we did is we decided we're going to go to the American College of Sports Medicine and National Institutes of Health, and let's talk to them a little bit about what are some of the ingredients in a pre-workout type formula that you should be looking for and why. Well, the first one was caffeine. And I know some people have sensitivities to caffeine, and just understand this is more of a general statement, but in the studies that they conducted, a moderate amount, and this means don't overdo it. Any too much of a good thing is a bad thing. Don't ever forget that. Too much of a good thing is a bad thing on anything that I'm talking about today. Make sure that you understand not only what you should be taking, but in what amount. That's critical. So caffeine in a moderate amount, 30 to 60 minutes before a workout, has been shown to increase your endurance. Well, that's great if you're an endurance athlete. If you're trying to do something of high intensity, you can actually get more benefit if you have a moderate amount of caffeine. So caffeine is something that we look at in a pre-workout formula. The second thing we're looking for is vitamin C. Vitamin C is more than just to help with colds. I hate to tell you, that's kind of the wives' tale, but in reality, what it does help is the metabolic system when it's in stress, and training is most definitely stress. We've established that. Don't forget the sumo wrestler. We don't want to fight the sumo wrestler here. We want to feed the body what it needs to help reduce the stress load on the body during training. So vitamin C is a critical component. The B-complex vitamins are a critical component because they make sure that the body's operating effectively and efficiently, and they help to create the energy from food. In other words, the B-complex vitamins is what's converting those carbohydrates that we ate pre-workout. Remember, we're going to get just an apple or a good quality snack bar or something like that. We're going to get us something before the workout. The B-complex vitamins is what's going to convert that carbohydrate into the energy that we need to fuel that workout. Again, trying to avoid that catabolic effect and trying to avoid retention of fat and burning of lean muscle. So remember, what we're trying to do is get rid of that fat. So we're trying to give the body what it needs. And then, of course, probably the most important thing is a good branched chain amino acid blend. That's what the BCAA blend is. That's your leucine, isoleucine, and valine. They help digest food, repair body tissue, promote growth, amongst see those again.